Hey guys, Ben Paint here, and today we're back once again for another video at Teamsport Bristol, and this time we're taking part in a Monday night social. Obviously, as always, this consists of three 15-minute sessions. The session you are watching is the second session of 3 because my GoPro apparently decided to cut out and not work in the third session due to it being so cold. The temperatures were in the minus degrees, but we do get underway right away. But before we jump into the video, I would like to say, if you do enjoy this video, could you please hit the like button down below, as it really does mean a lot to me. And if you are new here, or if you haven't already, could you hit the subscribe button as well, because it really does help me out. We're really close to 200 subscribers now. We're only 10 off at the time of recording, so if you could hit that as well, it really would mean the world to me. But as you can see, the footage is rolling, and we did decide, me and some of the other members on this evening, that we were going to run in a bit of a train fashion, so we could all sort of keep up with one another, follow each other's lines, warm the track up, and try and get some good lap times in. Now, you can see already I have been gapped a little bit due to being a little bit off the pace, a little bit rusty, but we come across the line in our first lap with a 43.196. We go down the inside there on one of the public members who came along, and I got to say that was probably one of my better moves of the evening. I went right down the inside, no contact. It was a brilliant overtaking. We were tagging along behind Harrison and Sam here up ahead, but you can already see that the times here are comparatively better from the last time we head down. This is due to the fact that there have been some new rear tyres that have been put onto the carts, as Harley sent a very nice move down the inside there, and we look to follow him once again. It seems to be a bit of a theme following Harley, but it's one we do enjoy. So, as I mentioned, the rear tyres have now been changed on the carts. This means there's a lot more grip on the rear of the carts, so you're able to actually throw the cart in a little bit more and sort of rely on the back tyres a lot more compared to normal. So there's a lot more grip. You can see that it's more akin to how it was in the summer compared to how it has been over the last couple of months. We can see immediately Harley gaining a little bit of time here. He's in kart 22, which did happen to be quite a fast kart on the evening. I didn't realise this at the time. I thought I was just being slow, but Harley was really maximising the most out of it here. So you can see, just trying to get as close to both the apexes, much like we always do, because see the gap that's opened up to some of the other guys up ahead. So I was finding it a little bit of a tricky session, a bit mentally challenging, but we do come across the line here. 42.129, our fastest lap so far, a decent lap. And I found that when we go round once again, I'll show you more what I mentioned, but up ahead at the moment there's a little bit of carnage here. Sam trying to get past one of the other members. Harley dives down the inside, pulls off a nice move, and I just follow him through there, so we really are tagging along behind him. I head down the inside here, trying to look for a little move on him, a little bit of contact, but trying to keep it clean. We're side by side here through the upper sections of the track, and he does manage to just stay ahead here, and we tuck in behind him once again, just trying to not lose too much time to the other drivers ahead, but just trying to maximise as much as we both can. You can see again, he's taking a little bit more of a wide line, I'm taking more of a narrow line to try and minimise the track length. Come across the line there, a little bit slower due to the battle in 42.538 second lap. Again, Harley tries to go for a move down the inside on one of the other members, and I actually tried to send it down the inside of Harley there, and I actually managed to pull the move off. You can see I'm ahead of him before the corner, and I was able to park it on the apex, so I was able to confirm that move against him. And also coming up the ramp, I did have a little bit of a better run than the driver in kart number 17 there, so I was able to gain 2 positions there, which I was quite happy with. And now I have my sights set on Sam up ahead. Here you can see there a little bit of bumping from behind, so I was getting a little bit of pressure from Harley behind me, and I was just looking to try and get my head in the right frame of mind, just so I can just get some laps nailed in. You can see I'm buckling under pressure here all over the place. We come across the line there, 43.154, and what I mentioned earlier is in that first corner I actually did a little bit of like a Scandinavian flick there to try and get the kart turned in, as I found I was able to get a lot more speed. And Harley once again though on the bottom ramp sending a very nice move on me with a little finger wag to accompany that, so I just wanted to try and stay behind him as much as I could. I knew he had a little bit more pace to me on this evening, and I was just trying to tag along behind him, follow the same lines that he was, just to try and get as much as I could out of my own kart as well. But you can see straight away how much of the amount of time he's managed to pull out of me through the top section. I really wasn't quite hooking it up correctly, and we come across the line on this lap with a 42.809, so not quite managing to keep up with our fastest lap so far, 42.129, a pretty decent lap considering the conditions. So I was just willing to try and put the laps in, try and get the lap times down as much as I possibly could. Now I will refer back to my last session I did have a bit of a kart that didn't have any brakes, so I tried to come in to swap it, but unfortunately there was no karts to swap to. But in that session I did manage to get a 40.6 second lap, so anything around there would have been a bonus. Obviously I didn't notice at the time this was in the future, but we do come across the line around this corner once again, just trying to get it hooked up as much as I possibly could in order to get a decent time. We come across the line here, beating our fastest lap so far, 42.083 second lap, and I could feel that I was getting a little bit quicker, but obviously due to the gaps that had opened up ahead, you can see me shaking my head there, I felt that I didn't actually have the pace of some of the other drivers up ahead, Ryan Fisher, Sam Gaskell and Harley Smith, who'd all sort of raced away into the distance there in a group of 3. So I was a little bit disheartened by this, and I was just really willing to try and put the laps in as much as I possibly could, just trying to try some other things this session. So instead of braking on the top hairpin, I wanted to try and throw the kart in and try and use the steering angle almost as a brake. But as we come round here, you can see Alfie down the inside here. We do actually go side by side down the start finish straight, but unfortunately we do have a little bit of contact there and he does go round. I did feel very bad for it, and I did have a chat with him after. We did have a bit of a joke about it, so it wasn't too much love lost, but it was a little bit of a harsh move from myself. I probably should have backed out, but my ego had the better of me. I thought we'd go side by side, and unfortunately I did tag the rear of him and sent him spinning. Also, little did I know that that would be the last time that I saw any of the usual members that I raced with for the rest of the sessions. So a lot of the rest of this video is going to be me just hot lapping around the track. You see up ahead Harley making a move on another member on the big right hander. So at this point I was just trying to get my laps in, try and catch up to Harley if I could. You can see from the lap time there with my collision with Alfie of 43.476, we weren't quite on the pace of where we needed to be so far, so I was just trying to catch up as much as I possibly could, get some decent lap times in, and just try and get the most out of the car that I was given. So you can see there, trying to maximise the track, looking over my shoulder there for Alfie and realising that he's not there. There was no one near me really that I recognised, so I was just following behind the person up ahead of me here who had a little bit of pace on the evening, but unfortunately wasn't quite up to scratch in this session. The driver up here in kart number 6, so just following along behind, trying to find where I could make a move past him if I possibly could. Again, just getting in the last corner a little bit wrong, got a little bit wide onto the slippery bits on the left hand side, but we do come across the line there almost the same as our fastest lap so far, 42.103 second lap, about 200ths off our fastest lap so far, and we've actually managed to really catch up to the driver up ahead. I go for a move down the inside here, a little bit of contact there, but we do make it stick and we follow our way up the ramp here. But as we come round the big sweeper here at the top of the corner, we do actually get sent down the inside. I thought it was that person going for a move back, but it was another member in kart number 13 here, and then the driver that I just overtaken sort of squeezed me into the wall here. A little bit of contact going a little bit too hard, and he didn't like it too much, tried to spin me out on the ramp, but I did try and keep my head focused, try and push ahead and try and make a little bit of a gap. I didn't want to be fighting with people too much. Obviously on a Monday it's more for lap times rather than race positions, so here I was just trying to focus, get my head down, a bit of a rough move from myself, but I did make the position up and I was just willing to sort of push away and just carry on. I did feel a little bit guilty about that one, but there's nothing I can really do about it now apart from giving the position back. But obviously as we're not in a race, it was more about lap time, so I just carried on along my way, just trying to hit as many apexes as I possibly could. Now again, just trying to really swing the kart here through the left right hairpin section, just to try and get as much traction out of the corner as I possibly could, leading to the big right hander at the bottom of the ramp. But you can see here getting a little bit sideways, and this was obviously due to the lack of grip, and we did come across the line on this lap, well, 41.832, which is our fastest lap so far and one that we can build on. I really felt that the track felt a lot more grippy compared to how it has done in the last couple of months, and this has meant that we're able to get a more respectable lap time. Instead of 44s, we're able to get back down into the 40 or 39 second laps. Obviously it's not as quick as it was in the summer just gone, where we were getting around 36 or 37 second laps, and this is due to the godly tyres that were put on the karts. But instead we're just trying to focus on getting some respectable lap times. If we can get down to 39 second laps, which unfortunately I didn't, as you know, for my last session, but we were just trying to focus as much as we can, just try and get a bit of a decent lap time. We come across the line on this lap, 41.794, so really getting some decent lap times in now, really motoring along, being very consistent. Every lap that we do has been quicker and quicker from the last couple of laps. I was really focusing on overtaking the person that had overtaken me previously, because I hadn't actually seen them down at the track before, so I was just willing to try and prove to myself that I did still have some pace left in me. I felt that I wasn't too quick in this session, so the quicker I could be in catching up, the quicker I would feel in myself. Again, just trying to get as tight as I possibly could. Sometimes taking that second hairpin at the top, a little bit of a wrong line. I always seem to lose time on that corner, just because I go a little bit too tight in it, sort of compromise my exit. But we come across the line on this lap, again going even faster once again, 41.683. I'm really using my conventional line of tucking into both double apexes there on the Mickey Mouse section, just to try and get the kart rotated. This is something that wasn't happening in the first section. I was actually hitting the apex on the exit, and I did think that this person actually let me pass, but I don't know if their kart had a little bit of a malfunction here, so they did actually just pull over to the side, and I believe they had their kart fixed pretty quickly because there had no yellow flags, and I was just able to carry on my way. So here, once again, a little bit more of a shake of the head, being a little bit incorrect. You can see here the yellow flags have come out, as I mentioned, so this did mean that we did slow down a little bit. We come across the line here, 41.879, and as I mentioned, the driver there did have a bit of a malfunction, and there was yellow flags, so I was a little bit mistaken. But yeah, due to just the kart, you can see on the right hand side here, it just decided to choke up. It didn't work, so the guy was just sort of sat there. I think he had to have his engine rebooted, restarted, so he was on his way almost immediately. So here we're just taking a little bit of a lap here just to cool ourselves down, try and clear our head. You can see up ahead a couple of the other drivers who are still in the train with one another. Unfortunately, I was unable to keep up with them due to just my lack of pace on the evening. But again, just trying to get myself set up nicely for this next lap. We come round the big right hander here, trying to maximise the circuit, and we come across the line now, obviously due to the yellow flags, 42.358, which is still faster than what we were setting at the beginning of the session. So clearly we did have some pace left in us, but it wasn't quite quick enough to keep up with the four guys in the train up ahead there. So we come round this corner once again, just trying to get the kart swung in, and just trying to get the kart in as straight a line as possible, as quickly as we can, just to try and get a nice exit up the ramp. Obviously it's somewhere that I struggle with, but I did find that I am going up the ramp a lot quicker compared to when I was a heavyweight at about 91 kilograms. I felt that I did have a bit more pace. I was able to keep up with some of the other guys going into that section of the track, whereas usually I did just lose about half a second, but instead I did find that I did have some decent pace. We come across the line here of 41.304 second lap, which was in fact my fastest lap of this session. So I did have a bit of pace, but I wasn't quite able to get down to the 40-second laps in this session. Obviously a mixture of things, maybe I wasn't quite on it on the evening, the karts didn't feel too good, and also the conditions were extremely slippery, which is not really conditions that I like to drive in. I prefer a bit more of a grippy track compared to a slippy one. I don't know why, it's just whenever I've had a little bit more grip I find I have a bit more pace. But we come round to the big right hander once again, trying to get as close to those two apexes as I possibly can, sort of maintaining the same steering angle, just because by turning it left and right I did find that you lose a lot of time. You can see there once again trying to slide the kart through the first corner just to try and get the rotation into the double apex Mickey Mouse section. Come round here, see we are gaining a little bit of time on the drivers ahead, but unfortunately it's a little bit too little too late. We don't quite get the right angle going into the bottom right hairpin there, and this means that we did lose a little bit more time. Trying to stay nice and wide here, but sort of maximising the track a little bit too much, going a little bit too wide, not quite getting to the apex as much as I can. There's definitely a lot of time to be gained on this lap. You see me shaking my head once again. I knew this at the time. We come round once again, taking a little bit of a wide line there, and not quite getting the run out of the start finish straight that we want to. We come across the line of 41.698, so only a couple thousandths off our last lap, and I believe that this was in fact the last lap of the session. So we're just trying to nail as many of the apex as we possibly can. You can see the train up ahead has grown, so the drivers up ahead caught up to another driver, and I really didn't realise at this point this was the last lap, so I was trying to urge the kart forward as much as I can to try and catch up with some of the other guys. Come round this corner here, just trying to get as close to the apexes as I possibly can, tucking into the double hairpin here, trying to jump the kart through some of the corners here just to try and get the weight off the back wheel so I get a bit more acceleration down. But unfortunately mucking up the big right-hander once again, just not quite getting the turn in that I wanted to, and we come across the line here, forcing the car forward with a 41.6 or 45 second lap, which does in fact bring us to the end of the session and the end of the video. So I hope that if you guys have enjoyed this one, could you please hit the like button down below, and if you are new here or if you haven't already, then please could you hit the subscribe button as well. I do upload weekly and I'm trying to push out as much content as I possibly can for you guys. We are going to mix the footage up a little bit this week. We're not just going to come down to Bristol, we're going to try out something new as I do go around doing some Gincana slides. But as always, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. My Instagram's linked down below as always, so feel free to follow me on there. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care.